Hello and welcome to Dynamic Dialysis Dialogues. This is a show offering support for dialysis patients, exploring different topics that affect you. We also spread awareness and general education for our caregivers, family, and friends affected by end-stage kidney disease. Tune into our upcoming episodes for a better understanding of what dialysis is and why this 4-hour life-saving medical treatment is needed regularly by people whose kidneys no longer function. For now, I'm your host, Irma Titus, and today we hear from the experts. Let's unpack. Welcome to the pilot episode of this 13-part podcast series. Today's episode is called Expert Voices, identifying the issues you think we should be discussing on this series. Common themes arising as topical issues for people needing dialysis are often dictated by medical interest. Issues like diet and compliance to treatment often take precedent over psychosocial and socioeconomic realities people face while needing dialysis, which essentially affect our health too. We don't actually talk about the thousands of people denied dialysis and sent home to die from government hospitals like Grootskeur. There has been no recourse to date. But I know from experience that with no alternative but to fight for our lives, especially if you are the breadwinner, many people opt for private medical aid when they can barely afford it, just to get this much-needed life-saving dialysis treatment at private facilities. One such person is Mkita from Gugulethu, an unemployed single mother who has been braving 10 years on dialysis.
I've been living with kidney dialysis. My major challenge is working because I have to go to work and sometimes you don't feel like working. But just because you have to pay the medical aid and then you have to sustain yourself for a living, these things go parallel, work and dialysis. Either cannot survive without another. So if the companies can be more detailed about the disease, the sickness, and they meet us halfway in terms of working hours, and the government do some subsidy, and in transport services, if they can offer us transport services, sometimes it's raining, 100% we have to go catch a bus because we have no means of buying cars and be mobile.
Dialysis is already taxing on the body. There were so many calls on these dialysis streets, on government to give indigent peoples support for transport and income protection. But also, what about interventions for people with invisible disabilities? Because chronic illness is after all a disability. And perhaps education is needed, not just for employers, but for doctors too. Next, we hear from a young man who is actually trying something different. Nocturnal dialysis. Imagine only sleeping in your bed 4 nights a week. Lunga, a graphic designer from Delft, shares his journey toward quality of life.
Been doing night dialysis now. I think it's about 3 years. It's been that long. It does feel like that long. And 8 hours every night, every evening, from 6 in the afternoon until when my time is up.
I'm in the waiting room now. I'm just going to have a quick snore and then probably by 6:30, actually I know by 6:30 my alarm is going to wake me up. Then I'm going to work. I start work at 9 until 5. So yeah, that's me going to work from dialysis. Then after that, I go to my place to sleep in Delft. Then comes Friday, wake up, 6:30 in my place, prepare for work. And by 7:30, I must be ready to leave for work because it's Delft. I'm ready to start work at 9. Then at 3:30, they let me go if I'm going to dialysis. That's the great part. And I'm blessed to have found a job at Philippi Village. Yeah, take a taxi again at 3:30. Actually, when going to dialysis, I take 4 taxis. When I am going.
You might think there is no hierarchy of struggle, but this is testimony to the importance of sharing our experiences. The challenges are vast, and the innovation in seeking quality of life is dynamic indeed. We conclude our views today with the encouraging words of Rose Richards, who is an academic from Stellenbosch and received dialysis for several years. Rose asserts that managing a chronic illness is a pathway to quality of life and calls on loved ones to take care of their own health too.
I think social justice movements have a big role to play with social security and support and health matters in general. And one of the roles is that they can spread awareness. They can maybe offer certain types of support to people who have kidney disease, for example, provide some form of counselling, which I think people often would need, but may not always have access to. You could share your concerns and worries. People need to know whether it's a patient or a family member or a care provider, or even people working in social justice movements, is that kidney disease is treatable. And if you catch it early enough, you can lead a reasonably healthy and good life. So people shouldn't be afraid to be checked out for their kidney health. I think a lot of people believe that once they've got kidney disease, that's it. Their life is going to be a misery and it's probably going to be short. And I think the reason for that is because when they see people being diagnosed or they become aware that somebody has kidney disease, it's usually at a late stage. And then what they see is somebody fighting for their life instead of somebody managing a chronic condition.
An estimated 20,000 people are in need of dialysis in South Africa. With only 6,000 people able to receive it, many chronically ill patients die before ever receiving dialysis. This is according to the Sultan Bau Center, one of the few organizations in the country mobilizing support on this issue. It's clear from the expert voices today and the work the Sultan Bau Center is doing that we need to have a serious conversation about psychosocial and socioeconomic support for people needing dialysis. That's all we have time for today. Please join me next time for Dynamic Dialysis Dialogue. Please share your views on today's episode and make suggestions in the comments below. I look forward to continuing this conversation with you next time.